Being a people pleaser will leave you feeling empty, drained, and weak. I freaking love the word no. All those people who are using you, thinking that they could take you for a ride, they're gonna go. And that's great. We don't need those people in our life. They suck. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Yolanda Melody. Today we're going to talk about people pleasing. We have a lot to uncover. People pleasing is something that I've struggled with for a really long time. Most of my life, in fact. And over the years, I feel like it's something that I have really conquered, which is why I chose to do this video today. If you know that you are a people pleaser, you need to watch this video. My life has changed so drastically since I stopped caring about what people think. I no longer give in to guilt tripping. I feel like I am so much more in control of my own life, and that is what happens when you stop being a people pleaser. I used to be that person who said yes to so many things that I didn't want to do, whether it was work shifts, meeting up for coffee with people that I didn't even want to see. I agreed to photo shoots that I didn't want to do. When I say it controlled my life, it really did. And it took me so many years for it to finally click, because I knew what I was doing was in some respects weak. I knew in my head that I should be saying no. Something just kept stopping me from essentially standing up for myself and having boundaries. And the thing with people pleasing is that it is a habit and it's a way of living. So you might start off agreeing to big things, you know, if someone's putting a lot of pressure on you, but after a while it can start to manifest into little things. And if you keep going down that road, it starts to grate on you and your ability to say no becomes weaker and weaker, to the point where you're not only just agreeing to things if someone's being really persuasive, but you actually start preempting scenarios where you don't even have the strength to ask for things that you need. I'll give you an example. If I was trying to cut something out of my diet, but it was in the early stages, if I went to somebody's house and they were cooking a meal, I didn't want to make a fuss, so I wouldn't even mention, oh, I don't really want to drink cow's milk anymore, I'm trying to move over to soya. I didn't even have the confidence to just turn around and say, can I have this instead? A lot of the time, people don't even realise that you are actually going against your integrity for their sake, because not everybody is a mind reader. What can happen is you can start holding resentment towards people and maybe even pushing the blame onto them in a surreptitious way, feeling as if they've pushed you into something that you didn't want to do, but in reality, they were just asking for something, and you have the power to say no. Now, not everybody is innocent. There are some people that take advantage of people pleasers, and we're going to get into that. But in general, when you're a people pleaser, you can end up holding resentment against people that do have good intentions, but because you went against your integrity, you're mad at them. You become angry at the situation, but really, deep down, you're angry at yourself. Okay, so why do people oh, that's a tongue twister. Why do people please? Why? The reason why we people please is firstly the illusion that we're not good enough. The illusion that if we say no, people won't like us. And the illusion that if we hold ourselves up to a high standard, people will walk away. I am gonna unwrap all of these illusions because they are illusions. They're not true, and the moment that you shatter that belief system, everything will become so clear. The illusion that we're not good enough comes from low self-esteem. I know it's not rocket science. I know that you probably guessed that I would say that, but it is what it is. And low self-esteem can be worked on, and we will be getting onto that later on. The illusion that if we say no, people won't like you. That is wrong again. People who are able to say no respect themselves. And when you respect yourself, other people will respect you. Think about someone that you know that has clear boundaries and respects themselves. You know that you can't get away with certain things with that person because they have boundaries. Does that mean that they're mean? No. It just means that they have respect for themselves. Now think about the biggest people pleaser that you know and tell me, are they popular? Do people treat them well? You'll probably find that the answer is no. People don't treat that person well because they're giving off an energy that they don't respect themselves. So what happens is people mirror that energy. And now we're on to point 3. The illusion that if we hold ourselves to a high standard, people will walk away. And do you know what I say to that? Good. If people walk away because you hold yourself to a high standard, then you have been blessed. Because if that happens, God has clearly shown you that none of those people are real friends. People that dip out when you start to say no to things are leaving because you are no longer useful to them. And that speaks volumes. If you've been a people pleaser, you probably have a few toxic people in your life right now that are taking advantage of that. But ultimately we know that being a people pleaser is not an enjoyable experience. And what you might notice is that people start to turn to you, the users, right? The people who are using you will turn around to you and they'll say, oh, you've changed. And my answer to that is, yeah, we're all supposed to change. We're all supposed to grow. We're all supposed to get better. Another reason why we people please is because we don't want to hurt people. Genuinely, that was my reason. I have a lot of empathy. If someone asked me to do something in the past that I didn't want to, I would say yes because I'm now in a position where I feel like I'm responsible for their happiness. But here's an example of how toxic this mindset can be. So we all know about my old workplace. I freaking hated that place. So much. My old workplace was incredibly understaffed all the time. We all used to be given shifts at super late notice, and frequently I would get colleagues sending me messages saying, oh my god, I can't do this shift, please, like, can you cover it for me? I'm desperate. And for a while at the beginning, I used to say yes all the time. To the point where people started to know that I would cover their shift. It got to a really bad point where I ended up working 2 weeks straight with no day off, covering other people's shifts. And then I became exhausted, moody, and those same people that asked me to cover their shifts were rolling their eyes as if to be like, pick up the slack. The moment that I said yes to covering their shift, it was like, oh, it's not my problem anymore. They passed their problem onto me. I took it on and I was the sucker. People use guilt tripping as a manipulative tactic to get what they want. You might think that you are genuinely sparing that person of a little bit of misery by taking on their shit. But what's really happening is those people are just dumping on you. And they also tend to be energy vampires, and they will not stop until they have sucked you dry. Manipulative people can smell a people pleaser from a mile off. You may not realise it, but your vibe is more transparent than you think. A lot of people don't even consciously know that they are manipulating. It's almost like a psychic intuition that people have. Sometimes it's almost like they're being led by something. They can't pinpoint what it is, but they just know that you are the person to ask. However, this is actually a good thing because the moment that we make a conscious choice to change our behaviour, our vibe shifts very, very quickly. And the signals that you choose to send out will have a profound effect on the way that people treat you. Okay, so here are my key steps on how to transform yourself from a people pleaser into a bad bitch. Or just a strong, assertive human. Step number 1. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Boundaries are my life. Once you start setting boundaries, it actually becomes a little bit addictive. You start to realize that it makes you feel so good and so powerful. And what I would do is I would get a pen and a piece of paper and literally write down what your boundaries are. Boundaries are very broad, so I'm going to give you a few examples of things that you may not have actually realized are actually a boundary. A boundary that you could have is that you do not reply to text messages, phone calls, you don't go on social media past 9 p.m. That can be a boundary. Another boundary could be, I do not meet up with people that I don't want to meet up with. Simples. Another one could be, I do not take on work shifts unless I actually want the shift or need the shift. This is one thing that I started doing at my old job. I literally stopped accepting any shifts unless it worked in my favour. And yeah, some people would complain behind my back. They'd literally do that about anyone who said no. But eventually, people actually stopped asking me altogether. They knew that I would not say yes. And in turn, I think that people eventually respected me for it. Maybe. Either way, I don't really care. Because I was happy with myself. So that's fine. So the key is when you write down these boundaries is that you have something concrete now that you can physically look at that literally says your boundaries. And in order for you to make the progression from people pleaser to strong individual is you have to follow that list, almost as if they are your 10 commandments. You could even look at it like you're people pleasing the list. All your people-pleasing energy is all about pleasing yourself now. The person who is now holding you accountable is you. Okay, step number 2. Be prepared for people to walk away, aka users. All those people who are using you, thinking that they could take you for a ride, thinking that they could just walk all over you, they're gonna go. And that's great. We don't need those people in our life. They suck. And what will happen is the more that you respect yourself, the better your energy will be, the more people are going to be attracted to you that will respect you. Step number 3, learn to feel really, really good when you say no. I freaking love the word no. It's brilliant. It's so much easier to just say no than agree to something and then go through with it and then feel crap about it afterwards, and then beat yourself up for it. At first, saying no will feel a little bit weird. Sometimes it can be very uncomfortable, but trust me, that feeling is gonna change. Because after a while, you'll start to realise that every time that you say no to something that you don't want to do, you are sending yourself signals that you care about you and that you love yourself. So give yourself a pat on the back every time that you say no. And step number 4. Raise your self-esteem. Now I know raising your self-esteem is easier said than done, but that doesn't mean to say that you can't do it. I think a lot of us are under a battle when it comes to our self-esteem. You can thank society for that and the media, but no matter who you are, you can raise your self-esteem. However, I've been filming for about an hour. And I think that deserves its own video, but I'll leave you guys with this. Often, to figure out the solution to something, we first need to identify what is causing the problem. And one of the biggest causes of low self-esteem is people-pleasing. The beautiful thing about self-esteem is that your actions feed into the cycle. Shit. Oh no. When you set boundaries, you are sending a signal to your brain saying, I respect myself. When you treat yourself with love and care, you are saying to yourself, I am valuable. This cycle is ever changing depending on how you act, and that is why you need to make a conscious choice to love, honor, and respect your body, your mind, and your soul. Being a people pleaser will leave you feeling empty, drained, and weak. And I don't know about you, but life is way too short to be pissing around with self-development. Just do it. Just Stop people pleasing. And your life will become beautiful. That is all for my video today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below your story, your experiences, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Love you, bye!